2nd, 2015, and the time is 2 p.m. in council chambers. We're going to do adoption of minutes first. Committee of the whole meeting minutes on February the 16th, 2015, and regular open meeting minutes of February the 16th, 2015, and those will be adopted by consensus. Business arising from prior minutes, none. Introduction of late items. And we have one item that we are going to introduce at this time, and it's from our budget proceedings, and it is the 74th Avenue Phase 1 and Phase 2, and Mr. Romanko, you're going to.
Yeah. Just declare your.
Yeah, I'd like to declare a conflict, and I'll be recusing myself.
Thank you. Before we continue, I am remiss in saying that Councillor Youngberg is on holiday and will not be here today, and that's why her chair is empty. Thank you. Mr. Romanko, or is that Mr. Doucette? Both of you?
No,
okay.
I can handle this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor McCardoff. Yes, we have in front of you, members of council, the budget report that was provided, and what we're looking for here is pre-budget approval, and this is a little bit of an extraordinary case given Councillor Rhodes' conflict of interest in this particular situation, because he's got a business located on that has potential for receiving benefit. He's declared a conflict of interest, and what we are basically doing is pulling this project out of the budget package for council's decision, and council had addressed this particular item in the budget meeting prior to put it into the budget, with Councillor Rhodes expressing his conflict of interest and was not present for the discussion. Now we're looking, because we're into our budget approval process, we're looking for actual budget approval on the project. So what you have in front of you is the report. It's a pre-budget approval request to improve 74th Avenues, and that should read actually Part A and B to be consistent with the package. And 74th Avenue from actually 89th Street to Main near OK has been OK Tire has been a target area for us for a number of years to improve. And this year we've been able to put the funding together for this project. This project will not go all to as identified here is only for parts A and B, is for $731,000, and it would include changing the streets to include 7-meter pavement width for travel lanes, 2.5 meter width asphalt surface for parking on both the north and south sides of the street, standard curb and gutter on both sides of the street, 1.5 meter concrete sidewalk on both sides of the street, LED lighting, a localized storm drain comprising catch basins and dry wells, and also boulevard trees with irrigation. A couple of the reasons this particular area has been targeted over the last few years includes the fact that we're always looking for continuity in our sidewalks, and there's sidewalk missing in this particular area. This would provide for that continuity. This area is very susceptible to storm drainage issues in high rain periods, where the gravel on the side is pulled down into the areas, which causes maintenance problems. And so that's just a couple of. This is a very much an arterial road. That's why it's receiving priority for redevelopment and community support. So with that, and unless there are some questions, we're looking for pre-budget approval on the 74th Avenue Part A and Part B projects in the amount of $731,000.
Thank you very much. I also think that when the new fire hall is built, The fire trucks will go across Main Street or across Highway 97 and could use this road more conveniently than the Highway 3. And to that end, it's probably a good idea to have it fixed at this time as well.
Certainly that, like I said, this is an arterial road, and it will be a main pathway for that. I should also add that the last phase of the project will be potentially doing consultation with the businesses on that last part, because the goal is to get from 89th to Main Street, but at this point in time, this is only for 2 parts.
2 blocks, and the third
Yes.
one will come up again. Okay, is there anyone else? Would somebody please like to make a motion? Councillor King, Councillor Campbell, any discussion on this? We have talked about this at length at the budget meetings, and so we're quite comfortable that this particular project should be addressed at this time. So, all in favor of pre-budget approval? Thank you. That's carried.
Thank you.
No.
And we will wait for Councillor Rhodes to come back. And I apologize, I believe I should have had somebody move and second that the budget, or that the agenda be amended. Am I correct? I'm going to use Councillor Campbell, Councillor King to move that the agenda be amended. All in favor? Thank you. That's carried. All right, next on our list are delegations. We do not have any. And now we're going into water matters, and that would be Mr. Zackel.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. So the first bylaw being brought forward is the Water District Rates and Regulations Amendment Bylaw 1241.07, 2015. The Town of Osceola operates a rural water system under the Water District Rates and Regulations Bylaw 1241. Each year, the town's bylaws are reviewed, and when changes are required, they're brought forward as an amending bylaw to update the content and/or the fees and charges. Bylaw Amendment 1241.07, 2015 is brought forward for Council's consideration. Schedules A, B, and E have been amended to reflect an $8 increase to water user fees for domestic water use, with a 2.25% increase to the other water district user fees. The 2015 rate for domestic use is $364. As a comparison, the Town of Oliver's 2015 rate is $375.35. The proposed water district rates were discussed at the February 10th and 11th budget meeting with Council's direction to bring the bylaw forward. The increase in rates is expected to raise an additional $11,200 in revenues. Funding available for all water capital projects are $559,950, which is up from $497,585 in 2014. The 2015 water capital projects include a water meter strategy, well 1, 4, 5, and 8 treatment plant design, 74th Avenue Fire Hall offsite services, well 1 control and flow metering, 340 booster pump and preventative maintenance, reservoir mixer, wells 6 flow meter and variable speed drive, well 4 flow meter, Fairway Hills SCADA and panel upgrade, Station 8 electrical upgrades, new well for Kinsman Park. So the implications for our community: improved water infrastructure and improved water quality. Organizational, there's no changes required. From a budget perspective, increased revenues will assist with water capital projects. Significant dates: bylaw needs to be adopted prior to the financial plan being adopted. Sustainability, continued effort for protecting the environment, reduction of our carbon footprint, and financial sustainability, and ensuring the proper use of water supply. So the options before Council: to give first 3 readings to Water District's Rates and Regulations Amendment Bylaw 1241.07, 2015. Option 2, to further amend Bylaw 1241.07 and give first 3 readings. And Option 3, to leave Bylaw 1241.06 as is for 2015. And staff's recommendation is for Option 1 for first 3 readings.
Thank you, Mr. Zackel. Would the water councillors like to?
I move
Which one?
1241.07.
And do you move option number 1 to give first 3 readings? Councillor Ray, you, yes? And any discussion about this? This was talked about at quite length at the budget meetings. All in favor? Opposed? None. Thank you. That was carried. Next on the list is a Resort Municipality Initiative update. Mr. Romanko.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. Yes, this piece of correspondence was put into the council package as a good news story for the community. Currently, the Resort Municipality program was scheduled to come to an end in December 2016. This letter provides the town of Vesuvius notification that the province has extended the program for an additional year to December 2017. So provided all the budget, provincial budget needs are met, this will provide us another year, another year of funding under this particular program, which could mean upwards of approximately $300,000. In terms of the administration of the grant, things to be aware of is that because this is an extended program and our current plan only goes to the end of 2016, we'll have to do some amendments to our plan for the additional year, and then also agreements will have to be amended for the year. In my discussions with staff from the provincial government, I am told that we will have to do some type of a stakeholder consultation process that will provide for identifying and placing the projects into that extra year of plan. So we're hoping that it will, in the interim, get either further extension. So we'll probably go through a process and do a longer term plan for them. So, like I said, this is good news. This will allow us to continue with the program. There is some. We're not sure of the exact dollar amount because we're told a grant. It's a grant will continue to be capped at $10.5 million, and because of the calculations, there's been an over subscription to the program over the years. In other words, we've been probably getting more money than that was in the grant program. So there may be some communities may be rolled back, some may get more money, but we'll just have to stay tuned because a large part of the funding is determined by the hotel tax revenue that comes out of our the 2% municipal regional district tax. So they'll be doing that calculations and letting us know very, very shortly what our eligibility will be.
Thank you very much. And the 10.5 million, don't get us wrong, that's for the entire province. All the resort municipalities, we're a very small one. So we're quite happy about that. It does advise, the letter was sent to Mr. Romanko, and it does advise that by September 30th, 2015, an updated memorandum needs to be sent. So that will be done this year. When I was talking to MLA Larson the other day, she was asking about our resort municipality, and she had the piece of paper, several sheets in front of her, and several of the things that we said that we were going to do with the funds from the last time. She said, she says, I'm looking through the list. Do you have a beach cleaner? I said, yes, we do, and it's well used. And the other thing she wanted to know of was trailer parking. I said, got that as well. And there were a couple of other things. So she said, well, when you fill in the form and send it in again, would you please put a big check mark or a star or something on there to show that you've actually done that. The Gyro Park upgrades, which we hope to have finished, and I'm sure it'll be brought up later, by May of this year. That a lot of that is with resort municipality funding, and so MLA Larson has been invited to the opening of that, so we can give her a tour and show her all of the things that we've done with this funding. Thank you. On to the next is bylaws, and the first one, I believe it's Mr. Zackel. That would be the water rates and regulations bylaw.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. So this next bylaw that's before council is our Water Rates and Regulations Amendment Bylaw 1242.07 for 2015. The town of Osceola operates their town water system under the Water Rates and Regulations Bylaw 1242. Each year the town's bylaws are reviewed, and when changes are required, they're brought forward as an amending bylaw to update the content and or the fees and charges. Bylaw Amendment 1242.07, 2015 is brought forward for council's consideration. Schedule A has been amended to reflect a $7 increase to water user fees for the single-family residents with a 2.28% increase to the other water user fees. The 2015 rate for a single-family residence is $314. As a comparison, the town of Osceola or town of Oliver's 2015 residential rate is $375.35. The proposed water rates were discussed at the February 10th and 11th budget meeting with council direction to bring forward the bylaw. The increase in rates is expected to raise an additional $31,000 in revenues. The funding available, again, as stated in the previous report, for all water capital projects are $559,950, up from $497,585 that was in 2014. And the 2015 water capital projects, as previously discussed, water metering strategy, well 1, 4, 5, and 8 treatment plant design, 74th Avenue Fire Hall offsite services, well 1 control and flow metering, 340 booster pump and preventative maintenance, reservoir mixer, well 6 flow meter and variable speed drive, well 4 flow meter, Fairway Hills SCADA and panel upgrade, Station 8 electrical upgrades, and a new well for Kinsman Park. Implications for our community, again, improved water infrastructure, improved water quality. Organizationally, no changes required. Budget, increased revenue, assists with the water capital projects. Significant dates, bylaw needs to be adopted prior to the financial plan being adopted. Sustainability, continued effort for protecting the environment, reduction of carbon footprint, and financial sustainability, and ensuring the proper use of water supply. So options again before council to give first 3 readings to Water Rates and Regulations Amendment Bylaw 1242.07, 2015. Option 2 to further amend Bylaw 1242.07 and give first 3 readings. And option 3, delete Bylaw 1242.06 as is for 2015. And staff's recommendation is option 1.
Thank you. Mr. Zackel, could I have a motion from council? Thank you. Councillor Rhodes, Councillor King. Is anyone like to speak to this? No. Again, this had been talked about at our budget meetings, and we all got quite a detail about this, and feel comfortable that this is the right way to go. So the motion is to give first 3 readings to Water Rates and Regulations Amendment Bylaw 1242.07, 2015. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Next is the sewer rates, and that would be Mr. Zackel.
Thank you once again. So this bylaw that's being brought forward to council is the Sewer Rates and Regulations Amendment Bylaw 1065.16, 2015. The town of Osceola operates their sewer system under the town's Sewer Rates and Regulations Bylaw 1065. Each year the town's bylaws are reviewed, and when changes are required, they're brought forward as an amending bylaw to update the content and fees or fees and charges. Bylaw Amendment 1065.16, 2015 is brought forward for council's consideration. Schedule A and B have been amended to reflect a $4.53 increase to sewer user fees for single-family residents, with a 2% increase to the other sewer user fees. The 2015 rate for single-family residents is $231.01 in town and $324.01 in the rural area. As a comparison, the town of Osceola town of Oliver single-family residential rate is $233. The proposed sewer rates were discussed at the February 10th and 11th budget meeting with council's direction to bring the bylaw forward. An increase in rates is expected to raise an additional $24,500 in revenues. Funding available for capital projects is $455,250. This is up from $448,135 in 2014. And the 2015 sewer capital projects include the main lift station reconstruction project, the Southeast Meadowlark sewer extension, and sewer extension to the fire hall. Implications for the community, improved sewer infrastructure, and once again, sounds funny, but it's improved lake water quality. Organizationally, no changes required. Budget, increased revenues, assists with the sewer capital projects. Significant dates, the bylaw needs to be adopted prior to the financial plan being adopted. Sustainability, continued effort for protecting the environment, reduction of the carbon footprint, and financial sustainability. Options before council, option 1, to give first readings to Sewer Rates and Regulations Amendment Bylaw 1065.16, 2015. 2, to further amend Bylaw 1065.16 and give first readings. And option 3, to leave Bylaw 1065.15 as is for 2015. And staff's recommendation is option 1.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Campbell.
Motion to accept option number 1.
Thank you. A seconder? Councillor Rhodes. Would you like to speak to it? No. Okay, I had a question. When we're looking at the 3 projects, Mr. Zackel, I know that the main lift station reconstruction is a huge project, and we would certainly be asking the regional district and the Suis Indian Band to help us with that one, and I believe we've applied for some grants for that. The sewer extension to the fire hall is part of our obligation to putting in our new fire hall. I'm just wondering if you could explain what the Southeast Meadowlark sewer extension entails at this point, because we don't have anything there yet. Is that Mr. Cunningham? Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, the sewer project that you're talking about would serve 2 purposes. First of all, it would service our new fire hall, but also it would service our Richter property, town-owned Richter property, where we're presently entertaining development proposals. And it would also be available for serving the whole of our Southeast Meadowlark area. So the Richter property would be built out with 40 homes, but over the longer term, the whole of the Southeast Meadowlark area could accommodate 300 homes. The sewer would be a gravity down to Wren Place, and there would be a pump house there, and then it would proceed down the highway and connect with a gravity main at that point.
Thank you. And so that means that the main structure is going to be put in, and then when houses eventually are built there, they have something to connect to. Is that correct?
That's right. The sewer infrastructure would be in place, ready to accommodate growth.
Good. Thank you. So I'm just thinking that other people who are listening to this may have wondered why that was in there at this time. So does anyone else have anything to? Okay, so we will ask for a vote on option 1. All in favor? Thank you. That's carried. And now we are on to the Waste Management Services Regulations Bylaw. Mr. Zackel.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. So before council is the Waste Management Service and Regulation Bylaw 1309-2015. Background of this is to review and update the Waste Management Services and Regulation Bylaw. This bylaw was established to set regulations for services to collect and dispose of solid waste and recyclable materials within the town of Osuyas and for materials accepted at the Osuyas Sanitary Landfill. Bylaw 1309 is being brought forward for council's consideration. There were a number of changes made to the existing bylaw 1267 and amending bylaws 1267.02, .03, .06. And this bylaw is being brought forward as a clean new bylaw. Some of the changes include garbage collection and recycling collection. The rate effective January 1st to be increased to $124.44 as per our budget discussions on February 10th and 11th, 2015. This rate is increasing from $122, and it's due to the CPI increase, TCPI increase, and a pending tipping fee increases. The remaining rates, will take effective April 1st if this bylaw is passed by then. The landfill tipping fees, this rate has increased to $95 per ton to be consistent with the RDOS landfill tipping fees in Oliver. Some new classifications, assessed demolition and renovation mixed load at $90 per ton for the first 500 kilograms, $500 per ton for the portion over 500 kilograms with a $25 minimum charge. This is a new rate. Our old rate was based on demolition only, and this is also to be consistent with the RDOS. This new rate is being established to give our users at the landfill a reduced rate when there is paperwork in place with respect to this type of load, which is completed and provided to the weigh scale prior to the materials being accepted at the landfill. So basically on these demolitions, there's a lot of assessments with respect to asbestos and source separation and things of that nature. And what we're doing is the paperwork speeds up the process and lessens the impact of the contractor's amount of work that they have to do for separating the materials. Now, on the other hand, we also have a second rate there for the people that are not willing to do the paperwork, and that's a non-assessed demolition and renovation mixed load. This is set at $200 per ton for the first 500 kilograms, $700 per ton for the portion above 500 kilograms, and a $50 minimum charge. This is a new rate. Our old rate, again, was based on demolition only, and this is to be consistent again with the RDOS. This new rate is being established so that the users who do not provide all their paperwork with respect to this type of load, there will be more work required for the landfill scale and operator when dealing with these loads. The next change that was made is under the construction mixed load of $200 per ton for the first 500 kilograms, $700 per ton for the portion above 500 kilograms, and a $50 minimum charge. This is also a new rate. Our old rate was also based on just demolition only. And once again, this is to be consistent with the RDOS. This new rate is being established for new construction materials only, so somebody building a new house. Under the depositing of recyclable waste, we are making the change to removing the triple tipping fee charge, also to be consistent with the RDOS bylaws. What we've experienced in the past is there was a significant amount of landfill shopping because of disparity between rates between different landfills. So we're trying to clean up a couple of our rates so that it keeps these larger haulers in the locations where they're doing their work. The RDOS staff has been consulted with respect to our recommended changes, and these changes are consistent with the charges established at the Oliver Sanitary Landfill. These changes will assist in determining larger companies' landfill shopping in the area because the rates will be fairly consistent, as previously explained. Under implications for our community, continued effort for waste diversion at the Oswego Sanitary Landfill to extend the lifespan for our residents. Organizationally, there's no changes required. From a budget perspective, the increased revenue will assist with the increase in costs associated with the garbage collection and operations and recycling opportunities. Significant dates. Bylaw needs to be adopted prior to the 5-year financial plan being adopted. Sustainability, continued effort for protecting the environment, reduction of waste, and financial sustainability. Options before Council to give first read readings to Waste Management Services and Regulations Bylaw 1309, 2015. Option 2, to further amend Bylaw 1309 and give first read readings. Option 3, to make any changes to Bylaw 1267, 2010, and amending Bylaw 1267.06, 2014 at this time. And staff is recommending option 1.
Thank you. Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. So I'd like to make a motion based on the wording in option 1 to give first 3 readings to Waste Management Services and Regulations Bylaw 1309, 2015.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Campbell. Is there anybody who would like to speak on this? I guess I had one thing that kind of concerned me a little bit. I totally understand it, but I just want people to realize that changing our tipping fees from $82 to $95 was was discussed and it was not taken lightly, and it was mainly because we were having a lot of other people from other districts come and dump at our landfill, and we felt that the best thing to do would be to keep it at the same rate as others, and that way it keeps people using the landfills closest to them, we hope. That's right. Okay, if there's anything else, do we have a motion on the floor? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And Mr. Zackel, I think it's you again.
Okay, here's the
Here's
special one.
The financial plan.
So before council is Financial Plan 1310-2015. Section 165 of the Community Charter requires municipalities to prepare a financial plan for a period of 5 years, which is adopted annually by bylaw. The Charter also requires council to undertake a process of public consultation regarding the proposed financial plan before it's adopted. At a special open budget meeting on January 12th, council sought the input from the community for considerations for the budget. Council reviewed the requests made from the January 12th meeting and reviewed them at the February 10th and 11th, 2015 special open budget meetings and provided direction to staff. The information in the financial plan reflects those decisions or directions as attached. Financial Plan Bylaw 1310-2015 is now being presented for Council's consideration. For the overview, the financial plan must be adopted by bylaw any time before the annual property tax bylaw is adopted. Section 197.1 requires that Council must adopt the annual property tax bylaw before May 15th. The financial plan must set out the proposed expenditures by the municipality, proposed revenue sources, proposed transfers between funds. The information must set out for each of the 5 years covered in the financial plan. The Act requires certain particulars must be included. However, the amount of detail is a matter for local determination. The financial plan must not plan for a deficit. The proposed revenue sources plus transfers from other funds must not exceed the proposed expenditures and transfers to other funds. Public consultation requirements. Section 166 of the Community Charter requires Council to undertake a process of public consultation regarding a proposed financial plan before it's adopted. The Act does not specify the format of public consultation process, and it may be varied at Council's discretion to suit the local community. In addition to the special open meetings noted above, the financial information is also available on the town's website. Advertisements will be placed in the March 4th and 7th issues of the Oswego Times. A public input session will be held prior to Council adopting Financial Plan Bylaw. This date is tentatively set for March 16th, 2015. Some of the highlights from the financial plan being brought forward for Council. The CPI, which is the Consumer Price Index, is estimated to increase by 0.9%. The Transportation Consumer Price Index, which is the TCPI, is increasing by 1%. The non-market change, new construction, new tax dollars is $4,400. QP and exempt wages are yet to be determined. Payroll overhead increases to employers' costs for Canada Pension Plan, Employment Insurance, Municipal Pension Plan, Workers' Compensation Board, and group benefits have been included. Highlighted changes. The budget being presented to Council is with a 1.2 or 1.82% increase to property taxes. This is an increase of $43,950 in tax-based revenue. 0.42% is to increase the funding for the new museum reserves at $10,000. 1.4% is to offset the increase in operating costs. Salaries and wages overall in this budget have increased by $81,830. It includes an addition of one salaried employee in development services and an allowance for maintenance coverage when an employee is on leave at the Sonora Centre. Garbage and recycling fees proposed to increase to $124.44 from $122. This increase is to account for the TCPI increase to the garbage and recycling collection contract, increase in tipping fees in 2015, with some subsidization coming from our new MMBC revenues that we started receiving in 2014. Tipping fees proposed to increase for the Town of Oswego sanitary landfill in 2015 from $82 per ton to $95 per ton. Currently, the RDOS landfills are at $95, and we're experiencing larger companies landfill shopping due to the lower than average rates. In addition, we are also experiencing lower than expected revenues with the increase in tipping fees. This will assist in reaching our revenue targets. It will also, if we bring in more than budgeted, we'll also be able to set additional funds away to assist with post-closure costs. Sewer rates proposed to increase by $4.53 annually for single-family residents. The annual cost for a single-family residence will increase to $231.01, which is a 2% increase in town, and to $324.01, which is a 1.42% increase in Area A. This is a $24,500 increase in revenues and is needed to maintain the same level of funding available for capital projects. The water rates proposed to increase by $7 annually for single-family residents to $314 and a 2.28% increase to the other water rates. This is a $31,000 increase in revenues and is needed to increase the funding available for capital projects. And the water district proposed to increase by $8 annually for single-family residents to $364, which is a 2.25% increase to the other water district rates and $11,200 increase in revenues. And this is needed to increase the funding available for capital projects. Under significant operating expenditure increases and decreases, the resort municipality projects were moved from operating to capital projects. Wages and benefits increased by $81,830 to a total of $3,193,620. In the operating budget, there's operator director recruitments of $15,700, which was added for 2015. A negotiator will be hired to assist with union negotiations, $10,000 in 2015. The $4,000 that was budgeted from 2014 was not spent. No elections in 2015, so there's a decrease of $26,000. The grants have increased by $131,230. There's a CPI increase for Destination Osuyas of $3,230, a 2% hotel tax transfer to Destination Osuyas. That was an increase of $100,000. And transit bus expenditure increase was $28,000, which is being offset against our funding partners, the RDOS and Town of Oliver, which are assisting with our South Okanagan Transit Society bus. Fire department operating budget, including transfer to reserves, increased by 0%. The transfer to reserve for future capital expenditures is increased by the reduction in leasing costs for 2015. Under community development, budget went down by $12,000 in 2015 as the economic development component is being contracted with Destination Osuyas. Training public works has increased by $5,000 to assist with the additional training required for crane certification. Under our landfill, this budget went up by $15,800 in 2015. The landfill attendant is only being budgeted until April, which reflects a decrease in the landfill operating budget, and there's increases in the contracts for the CPI, TCPI, and landfill tipping fee increases, and that accounts for the increases to the collection contractor and recycling program. Under community services, this is increased by $19,420. A $3,900 increase was for equipment repairs and maintenance, and the majority of the balance was for wages. Parks has increased by $10,340. $4,000 is due to the licensing fees for the marina, $5,300 in wages, and CPI increase for the washroom maintenance contract. Spraying is increased by $4,400, and this is mainly due to the increased funds available for materials to deal with the ever-increasing issue of puncture vine. And once again, resort municipality projects. These projects were moved out of the operating budget and show up under the capital/budgets project. The general operating expenditures, less transfers to other governments, transfers to reserves, resort municipality, contingencies, and capital project expenditures has increased by $199,450 to a total of $4,866,460 for 2015. This is a 4.27% increase. Sewer operating expenditures, less transfers to reserves, contingencies, and capital projects has increased by $26,215 to a total of $1,156,780 for 2015, and that's a 2.32% increase. Water operating expenditures, less transfers to reserves, contingency, and capital projects has increased by $33,315 to a total of $1,566,430 for 2015, and this is a 2.17% increase. Under our transfers to reserves, under our general fund, RCMP, we're transferring $23,200 away for future RCMP reserve fund. Under Marina, $11,500. This is being funded from Marina lease revenues. Under Fire Department equipment, $41,900. This is a joint reserve fund between the town, the Osuyas Rural Fire Protection District, and the Osuyas Indian Band. Museum Land Restoration Reserve Fund of $10,000. This is a new reserve fund directed by council to be established. and one more new reserve fund set up for waste/recycling initiatives of $10,000. Under our contingency allowances in our budget, general fund continues to have a $50,000 contingency allowance, sewer fund a $30,000 contingency allowance, and a water fund a $20,000 contingency allowance. Under our funds available for capital expenditures, general operating fund funds available for capital/project expenditures, in 2015 are $474,792. This is down from $549,305 in 2014. Under our general operating funds available for capital project expenditures in 2015, the balance is $455,250. This is up from $448,135 in 2014. And under our water operating funds available for capital expenditures in 2015 are $559,950, and this is up from $497,585 in 2014. Now for the effect on the cost of an average single-family residence. An average single-family residence will see an increase in property taxes of $10.96. Under garbage and recycling, an increase of $2.44. Under sewer user fees, an increase of $4.53. And under water user fees, an increase of $7, for a total increase of $24.93 for the year. Under implications for the community, a significant amount of capital projects are planned for 2015 that will enhance the community and improve the infrastructure in the town and rural service areas. Organizationally, an addition of one position in planning and development services. Under budget, user fees for garbage collection, water, and sewer have increased a combined $13.97 for a single-family residence. A 1.82% increase to property taxes after new construction dollars is also added. Significant dates. Public input into the financial plan after the first 3 readings and prior to council consideration for adoption. And financial plan bylaw needs to be adopted no later than May 15th, 2015. Under sustainability, working to ensure maintaining levels of service for the community and financial sustainability for the town. The options before council, for council to give first 3 readings to 5-year financial plan 1310-2015, or option 2 to make additional changes to 5-year financial plan 1310 and bring it forward for first 3 readings. Thanks for Lori for catching a couple minor errors on the financial plan front page of Bylaw 1310 under Section 2. It reads, policies of the fire year financial plan should read policies for the 5-year financial plan. And under Section 3, financial plan Bylaw 1310-2019 should read financial plan 2015. So staff is recommending that council go with option 2, make those 2 changes to financial plan 1310-2015 and give it first 3 readings.
Thank you very much. As you can see, Mr. Zackel has been busy, and how he can put all those numbers together and come up with a plan like that is pretty amazing. Thank you very much, Mr. Zackel, for all the work that you have put into this. Council. Councillor Rhodes, please.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. So I'll make a motion based on the wording in option number 1. For council to give first 3 readings.
Number 2. We wanted number 2 with
I'm
the
sorry.
changes.
I apologize. Yes.
Yeah.
Forgotten about the changes already. Based on the wording in option number 2, to make additional changes to the 5-year financial plan and bring forward for first 3 readings.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Would anybody like to speak to Councillor Rhodes?
I too would like to add my best wishes to you, Jim. I know this is a very comprehensive report with a lot of information into it. I know what you put into this, and the staff that help you out with this it's just amazing how this comes together. So congratulations for another year. I think just about all of the information in that report is good news. There's a few variables here and there, and a little bit of bumping up in pricing and that kind of thing, but based on knowledge that we receive of other communities in our province, this is a fair and reasonable report, and the information contained in it is definitely good news for us.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, all in favor of option 2 with the changes and bringing it forth for the first 3 readings? That's carried. Thank you very much. We are on the employee service recognition policy. Mr. Romanko.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. This report's kind of anticlimactic compared to all that. And I promise not to have too many numbers, knowing what just flew by. But this is a kind of in 2014, Council approved the employee service recognition policy, HR 021. Some clarification is now needed on how to determine the number of years of service. Attached is a copy of the new proposed proposed policy. The only changes from the previous approved policy are the 3 paragraphs beginning with the length of service. And we just wanted to provide some clarity on using seniority as on the seniority list, and then also determining the length of service based on the years of service on official start dates for both union and exempt employees. So those paragraphs have been added to clarify, and there'll be no impact to the community, no organizational impact due to this amendment, no budget changes. The policy implementations will occur annually at the Christmas event or other structured event, and 3 options are presented. 1, that Council approves this policy as amended. 2, Council approves recommended changes to the policy, and 3, that no changes be made to the existing policy, and the administration recommends option number 1.
Thank you very much. Recognizing good employees is very important in any business, so we're happy to make these changes. Councillor King, are you?
I'll make the recommendation number 1.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Rhodes, would anybody like to speak to it? No, all in favor. Thank you, that's carried. And we have the ALR exclusion application for the Effa property, and that would be Mr. Cunningham.
That's correct. The purpose of this report is to request Council's consideration for supporting Mr. Ron Effa's attached application to the Agricultural Land Commission, ALC, for releasing his property from the Agricultural Land Reserve, ALR. The subject property at the head of Spartan Drive is an anomaly because it was never taken out of the ALR, despite being located within the town's urban growth boundary, UGB, zoned R1 single-family residential, and serviced with urban sewer and water. As shown on the attached map, the Effa family actually owns 3 adjoining properties in the area. These are Lot A, 4.73 hectares, which is the ALR subject property, as well as 2 lots outside of the ALR, Lot B, 2.04 hectares by the lake, and Lot 1, 0.097 hectares at the end of Brayburn Drive. All lots were serviced with sewer and water in 2011 at Mr. Effa's expense and are currently for sale by Coldwell Banker. It is likely the entire block, 0.744 hectares or 1.91 acres, will be purchased by one party and developed together. Subject to Lot A being removed from the ALR and zoning approval, it may be possible to accommodate a small number of row houses with attractive views over the lake. Overview. Attached is the information submitted by Mr. Effa in support of his ALR exclusion application, all in accordance with the Agricultural Land Commission Act. 1. An exclusion application by owner for Lot A under Section 31 of the ALCA. The map, I should point out, accompanying the application seems to show that part of the lot lies outside the town, but this is probably a mapping error, and Mr. Effa has just confirmed that a few days ago. 2. Proof of ownership of title for Lot A in the name of Ronald Dallas Effa, resident of Nanaimo. 3, a photo of the exclusion notice posted at the end of Spartan Drive and copies of 2 successive ads in the Osoyoos Times on October 22 and 29, 2014, each inviting any person wishing to express an interest in the application to forward their comments to the town. No letters were received, though John Gates of 8102 92nd Avenue verbally expressed concern to the director about potential riparian damage and additional traffic generation if development ensued. The director assured Mr. Gates that we apply very rigorous riparian protections in Osoyoos and that any proposed development other than for a single-family home would have to go through a rezoning and public hearing process. And lastly, in terms of the supporting documentation, proof of serving notice of the application to Luis and Alcida de Mello, owners of the only ALR neighboring property, which is in the RDOS, and their letter confirming that they have no objection to the lands be taken out of the ALR. It has been normal practice in Osoyoos for council to resolve whether or not they wish to support an applicant's exclusion application to the ALC. If council does not support an application, it proceeds no further. Some municipalities authorize the exclusion application to proceed to the ALC while remaining silently of their own preferences. However, the Osoyoos administration recommends against this practice because it essentially abrogates all responsibility of the province for our land use planning, who, without knowing local preferences, may make a determination based solely on their own priorities. Under Section 20 of the ALCA regulations, Council has discretion to consider whether there would be merit in convening an advertised public information meeting for an exclusion application. This is not a public hearing, with the applicant paying the advertising costs. Last year, such a meeting was held for the publicly contentious and large 22-acre wish property application. However, the administration recommends that a public meeting for the Effa property application would not be merited, given its relatively small size, already existing zoning and servicing for urban development, and little public attention following the applicant's notices on the property and in the paper. Options. Option 1, Council resolves to support ALC approval of the ALR exclusion application by Mr. Ronald Dallas Effa for Lot A, DL 250S, SDYD, Plan KAP 75533. Option 2, Council resolves not to support the application proceeding to the ALC. Or 3, Council authorized the application to proceed to the ALC without expressing an opinion, not recommended practice. Or option 4, Council postpones making a decision until after convening a public information meeting, not recommended in this case. Impacts. Community. Residential development of the Effa property should not have any significant adverse impacts on neighbors. Budget. The application was accompanied with the required $600 fee, of which the town retains half and forwards the remainder to the ALC. Organizational. If the property is excluded from the ALR, any subsequent development application would add workload demands on staff. Timelines. Processing of the ALR exclusion was delayed because Mr. Effa did not retain a consultant to act as his agent as is normal practice, and because of competing staff work priorities. The LC currently has a large backlog of ALR-related applications. Sustainability. Release of the subject lands from the ALR would open up potential for infill residential development within an already serviced area in conformity with our OCP growth management policies. Recommendations. Staff recommends option number 1.
Thank you. Well, I'm just looking at the map here that you have of the properties. My assumption is that after it comes out of the, if it's released from the agricultural land reserve, then the next process is for the Effas or whoever buys it to go with a subdivision application and in terms of roads and all of that kind of stuff. Am I correct?
I think it's quite possible that some other party would purchase all 3 parcels together, and it's possible that they could entertain building a monster house on there, but I think it's far more likely, again, that they will look at the possibility of accommodating a number of houses on those 3 parcels in combination. That could be, as I mentioned before, row houses with nice views over the lake. Another exciting potential is for a pocket neighborhood. I've just been reading a book on that. It's becoming a very common concept in the United States. There's one going into Vancouver Island where people park their cars at the beginning of the development and walk into a common area to their separate houses, usually cottage style. And it would be very, very well suited for this particular parcel because it does have a narrow frontage at the southern end, and it's quite narrow and rectangular in shape. It has a higher bench, and then there's a lower bench which could provide an amenity area for all of the residents. So there are very exciting development potentials for this property.
Thank you. It sounds quite exciting. I know that the neighbors down there will be much happier with something like that rather than the old Mac and Fitz houses that were down there that were a pretty much of a mess when it was an old packing plant. And so I think this must be something that's an improvement. Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. I don't have a motion at this time, but I would like to ask a question.
Sure.
Regarding one of the options, and that's the public information meeting. Being involved in another area in town and the intense controversy that's brought to this, not this council, but past councils, and one would assume that we might be presented with that same opportunity again. These are highly controversial decisions. I know this one appears to be a little bit different. The zoning is definitely different, and some of the opportunities that may go on this property, but I'm always reluctant to move forward because of the lessons that we've learned in the last few years, that public consultation is so important. Even if nobody shows up, at least there's an opportunity there to do it. So I'm just wondering if you could speak to that a little bit more. I know you did briefly, but I think there's more to it than this, and I always feel more comfortable when you hear information from the residents in our community and how they feel about it.
Absolutely. The convening of a public information meeting, and not a public hearing, it's not so formal, is totally at council's discretion, and if they feel any reason or insecurity about not having one, then certainly it's your priority to have such a meeting. I certainly have no opposition to it whatsoever. I'd be pleased to attend. I did lay the option open to council in this particular case not to do it because it's already, as I mentioned, zoned for residential. It's within our urban growth boundary. It's not like we're going to be taking a new area into the urban area of town, and there could be apprehensions about its development. So the option is there, and I will totally take council's guidance on which way they want to proceed on this.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. Well, that's good. I think I'd like to just open debate on this a little bit by making that motion that we accept that option. I think it was number 4.
Okay.
Yeah, option number 4. And, even if nobody shows up and if there's no letters or comments or anything, I think it's a worthwhile endeavor because then the opportunity is there for people to comment on it. It's just one more step so that we don't miss anything in it. And it doesn't really appear that it's going to delay the process that much. I think with the backlog at the commission level and what they have, I think, scheduling this meeting is a worthwhile endeavor.
You're absolutely right about that. The last time I heard, they had about 200 applications stacked up, so I don't think there's going to be a delay that way. And I presume that council would be amenable to set a fairly early date for the public information meeting so that we don't unduly delay the applicant. But given the amount of time that he himself also has been working on this, I think some delay would be totally appropriate.
Councillor Campbell?
I would agree with Councillor Rhodes, and I think that this new council, for the short time that we've been here, there's been a theme of transparency, even starting with the open budget meeting. And seeing as I don't think that, from what I've read here, a slight delay will have any major impact on the project, I would support that motion.
Good, thank you. Can I just ask a question? You do mention here that that Mr. Gates has contacted you about something, and you assured him. Are there any other neighbors down there? Is he the only one that has commented?
He's the only person who was commented. I haven't received anything in writing, and he was the only person who brought verbal concerns to me.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think I feel the same way, that it's probably worthwhile having, especially as we have 3 new councillors, it might be a good idea for them to do that. So the motion on the floor is that we will go with option number 4, that we postpone a decision until after convening a public information meeting, which we would leave up to Mr. Cunningham to set up. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'll look at what might be an appropriate date, and I will circulate that around council and see whether that is convenient to yourselves, and then we'll proceed with that. Obviously, there'll be some advertising, which is necessary. You don't, because it's a public information meeting, you don't have to advertise twice, but we certainly would advertise the one time.
Okay, so we need to take a vote on this motion first. All in favor of option 4? Okay, that's carried. So can we direct Mr. Cunningham to go ahead with setting up a public meeting?
I think
public information.
motion speaks to that.
Okay, good. We'll leave it. Thank you very much. And the next on the list is reflection point. Is that Mr. Doucette?
No, I'll speak to that.
Okay.
In November of 2009, the Town of Osoyoos and Reflection Point Developments signed an agreement for 22 single-family residential dwellings on a developer's land to connect to the town's sewer system. This agreement also stated that after the connection of the 22 permitted single-family residential dwellings occurs, additional single-family residential dwellings on the developer's land shall be connected to the sewer system as agreed by both parties. In February 2015, Mr. Bradalenko, representing Reflection Point Development, sent me a letter requesting to purchase 8 additional sewer units, sewer service connections to their single-family unit development. As part of the town policy, PW 13, Extraterritorial Service Provision, Northwest Sewer, a request for sewer service may be made by the property owner or agent on their behalf by letter directed to the CAO or the CAO designate. Within 30 days of the request for sewer service, it will be reviewed by the CAO or the CAO's designated to determine if sewer capacity is available to allow for additional lots and properties and owners to be notified. The policy also further identifies the price for each additional unit as follows. Cost of sewer service properties that abut the town of the Osoyoos sewer collection system, $23,790 per single-family equivalent. Properties that do not abut the town of Osoyoos service collection system, $23,790 per family equivalent, plus actual cost to upgrade the sewer collection system to offer sewer services to the property by extending the sewer collection system to the property line. This unit price was identified as the true cost per service without the Northwest Sewer Grant, and also includes all the related capacity charges that were identified in the Northwest Sewer project. The sewer capacity study identified that the town has the capacity to continue to provide sewer services to new development. Providing 8 additional units of sewer to this project will result in no additional burden to the Northwest Sewer system. In fact, the system will function more effectively with additional users. In terms of implications, there are no implications to the community organization. The 8 extra units will feed into the existing Northwest Sewer system, and no additional maintenance or utility costs will be incurred. Budget will be revenue from the 8 units. Options, 3 options are presented. First, council to approve the sale of the 8 additional units to Reflection Point Development at the price stated in the policy of $23,790 plus related taxes. 2, council approve the sale of additional units to the Reflection Point Development at another rate plus related taxes. And 3, council denies the sale of 8 additional units to Reflection Point Development. The recommendation is option 1. The additional units will provide no burden on the waste management system and will provide additional revenues for future waste infrastructure development.
Thank you. Council?
Question?
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor.
A question first?
Can you just tell me where this reflection point is as a new councillor? Approximate?
Down, do you know where Rick Jones lives? On just past it, straight north of the Elks Hall.
Okay.
If you follow that road down past, is it past? No, it's not past the packing plant, but probably about a mile.
Yeah.
And then there's a road that'll take you to the lake,
Okay.
and it's along the lake.
You know you're in a small town when you're using points of interest of people's homes.
Everybody knows where the fire chief lives.
Thank you.
It used to be called Witch's Circle, if you can believe it. It was an old logging, what do you call it? A sawmill down there, and it was right on the point there. It's beautiful fishing off of there. Apparently, it's a great camping area. Everybody used to go and camp down there. There was parties down there galore. We were even on the news one time several years ago, which was probably not a good thing. But yeah, it's a very nice piece of property, and it's been in the development stage for quite some time. But I think they decided to hold off development until the Northwest Sewer went in. So they've already paid for many, and there's just another 8 additional ones, so it's okay. Councillor Campbell.
I make a motion to accept option number 1, council to approve the sale of 8 additional units to the Reflection Point Development at the price stated in the policy at $23,790 plus related taxes.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor King. Anybody like to, Councillor Rhodes?
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. So just to harken back a couple of years ago when we kind of commissioned that capacity study, one of the, not the most common, but some of the negative comments about that is, why are you spending so much money on these studies that are going to be sitting on the shelf? Well, I think this is a good demonstration of how valuable those things really are. It told us inconclusively that we were able to add these properties on there with little or no impact on our overall capacity of our sewage system. So I always like to, I'm not trying to rub anybody's nose in it, but it's always a good idea to remind ourselves that sometimes you don't use these documents all the time, but when you do, it really shows the value of them.
Thank you very much. So anybody else? All in favor of the motion? That's carried. Thank you. On to Gyro Park Plaza, Stage B, Plaza Extension. Mr. Cunningham.
Thank you. The purpose of this report is to request council pre-budget approval for Stage B of the Gyro Park Plaza at a cost of $206,857.17 less GST. As shown on the attached figure, the project was to be phased over 2 stages. On October 20th to 14, Council approved Crown Contracting Limited to construct the Western Stage A for $593,370.94 less GST. This work commenced last year, and after a temporary shutdown over the winter months is starting up again at the beginning of March. Originally, the intent was to wait until after the summer to tender the Eastern Stage B, but the administration proposed in Council 215-plus budget package that significant benefits could be accrued by Crown continuing straight through to complete the entire project this spring. This scheduling change is made possible because A, Crown's successful tender for Stage A came in at lower cost and required less resort municipal funding than expected, and B, Crown can do all the work quicker than expected. Overview. Outland Design Landscape Architecture are our consultants for designing, tendering, and construction management of the Gyro Park Plaza. They agree with the following benefits of seamlessly continuing construction with the same contractor. Save time and expense for the town not having to retender, reduce on-site mobilization costs for new works and build on their current contractor's project familiarity, ensure consistent construction practices and connections across both stages, protect currently tendered work, including paving, irrigation, and newly planted trees against potential damage from new construction, and if work was delayed to later in the year, there could be difficulties with storing materials and possible disturbance of newly grassed areas. And to that list, I could also identify another one, which was identified by our consultants, and that is the considerable difficulties insurance-wise of having two contractors working alongside each other. At the town's request, Outland obtained a tender price from Crown for completing Stage B, including detailed unit and price breakdowns. The scope of work includes earthworks and sub-base preparation, cast-in-place concrete and pavers, topsoil and finishing grading, trees, shrubs, and ground cover, and irrigation, lighting, and park furniture. Because the prospective work would be sole sourced, Outland took special care reviewing all costs and found them reasonable. Crown's received tender price of $206,857.17 for all the additional work is less than Outland's original estimate of $263,263, both less GST. Some cost savings are attributable to a design change which foreshortens the eastern end of the spine expansion to avoid repairing conflicts, but there are also some cost savings from continuing through with the same contractor. Options: 1. Council approve Outland Design Landscape Architecture to issue a change order of $206,857.17 for Crown Contracting Limited to complete Stage B of the Gyro Park Plaza along with Stage A. Option 2, request more information, or Option 3, postpone Stage B. Impacts: community, complete a valuable town project in a timely and cost-effective manner. Organization, the director is working closely with Outland Design through all project phases. Budget, see above. Significant timelines. Crown is scheduling all work for completion by the end of May, i.e. before the Cactus Jalopies Car Show on June 6. Sustainability adds quality of life attractions for residents and tourists. Administration recommends option number 1.
Thank you very much. Councillor Campbell.
Just had a question. In your experience with this type of project, are there many factors that could delay this project or cause it to go into the month of June or far into the month of June? Is that something that's foreseeable?
That can happen, particularly if you have less professional contractors, but so far I've been very impressed by the quality of the work that Crown are doing, and I think they're a very well-regarded and esteemed company. I've been very pleased and impressed by all the paperwork that they've provided us so far in terms of how they're going to do the work and the costing of it. I know there's a very good relationship between them and our consultants. There's been some very minor issues which were worked out very, very quickly and effectively in terms of some of our irrigation works. So I don't see any unforeseen things happening. It's not like we are working, for instance, in the water. There could be issues with that, or we're going to encounter some environmental issues or whatever. I think it's fairly safe to assume that the project will be complete on time.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's now the beginning of March. Have they started? Well, the last time I looked, they hadn't done. I just was asking today.
I checked first thing this morning, and I didn't see any activity. I am checking on the way home tonight, and if I don't see any little bodies whirling around there and operating equipment, then they're going to get a call first thing in the morning. Thank
you very much. Mr. Romanko?
I think in terms of the target date of June 6th for the cactus, I think there is a phase B or a plan B probably that we could implement very easily given the number of cars and the activities. Is that there's still the option of using the parking lot at the museum. We would lose our showplace, beachfront property, but we could put cars all the way down in front of White Sands and all the way down the beach area, very similar to what Penticton does, and have a very very nice car show there as an option, if just to get us through this year. So, but again, as Director Cunningham says, we're relying on the reliability of a very, what appears to be a very professional contractor.
Good.
And they can do Part A and Part B in that time frame.
Yes, that's
Okay.
right.
Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. So I need to bring up another issue here, and I would like to apologize in advance again, but, and I always hate asking questions about when you know the answer already, but I think there's, value in you commenting on them. So when we put out the tender for lack of a better term, the Stage A part, and they began work on it and everything, was the Stage B tendered out at that time? And I'm asking this question because it is a $206,000 expense, and for us to move forward with Crown and all the common sense and logic that you provided to us in your report, it's indisputable. However, there's always that other component that it automatically eliminates all other businesses from, maybe they had an expectation that they were going to, not do Stage A and they were going to wait till B. And I would have to tell you at that point that is a reality. There were some businesses that were waiting for that second portion of it. And, I got to repeat myself. I get your common sense and I get your logic, but you know what it's like when, you get pitched on a different variable on it. So I think it would be important for you to comment on that as well, if you
Most certainly, and I certainly understand your comments. I think one point to consider very seriously is that in the competition that we had, Crown Contracting were very clearly the winner. We were not just impressed by the fact that they provided the lowest tender price, but it was quite clear in their approach to the RFP that they're very responsible and professional about what they're doing. If we were to leave it till later in the summer, and that was the original intent, I'm not sanguine that at all that we would in fact benefit from that by allowing other local contractors who might have had some expectations, as you say, to come forward and provide a better tender for completing the works. I think that's realistically not something which we would anticipate as coming forward.
That's fair. So now we have a motion on the floor to approve. We don't have a. Sorry, we're not there yet. We've done too many today. That's the problem. So, is there somebody who would like to make a motion here?
I'd like to ask another question and put a motion on the floor. I'll put the motion on the floor.
With option 1?
Yes.
Okay. Would somebody like to second that? Second it. Thank you. Okay. Now, is there anybody who wanted to comment on it?
Yeah, I had a question.
Councillor
Thank you,
King.
Member Kirkhoff. I think in this project it shows that they decreased their bid by about 50-something thousand for doing second phase. So if they were to come down on their price, there must have been other people bidding on the second phase? Am I reading that correct?
No, they did not come down on their bid. The difference between their bid for Part B and the lower price that I also cited was the estimate that was provided by Outland, and so they're well below that estimate. But as explained, there's two reasons for that. There's obvious advantages in continuing through with the same developer, but also the scope of work is slightly less in that there was a portion taken off from the east end, an afterthought by the consultants because they were apprehensive of getting involved in riparian problems. So we're comparing two different sources of numbers. One came from the contractor, the other came from our consultant.
Oh,
Okay. Anybody else? Yes, Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. So in its simplest form, the B phase that we're talking about in this particular report has never been tendered prior to this.
That is correct.
I understand your concerns. Go ahead.
So, if I may, I'm against this motion the way it is because of the reasons that I stated earlier. And often when you have almost indisputable reasons for moving forward with the recommendation, sometimes compelling reasons for not moving forward, even though they don't follow common sense and logic. There's two reasons why I would speak against this motion. The first one being to delay stage B does not really have any profound effect on the project itself. It was part of the original planning. It was what we had wanted to do. We decided, or your report has indicated that there's lots of reasons for combining it together with stage A. So my argument is, and the reason why I'm against it is because it doesn't do any harm to put it off, and it will allow us to bring in that opportunity for local businesses to quote on it. Many of the things that we have talked about before are some of these projects, just the essence of the project eliminates a lot of our local businesses. That's definitely the case with the first phase, I agree. The second one has many compelling reasons for local businesses to get in on it. I think, many of those factors are achievable. And, for the third time, I hate sitting here talking against common sense and logic. I really do. But I think we need to bring in that opportunity for them to quote on it. So that's my logic and reason for speaking against the motion.
If I just make a
Yes,
comment.
could you answer that, and then Councillor Campbell?
Yeah, you stated that there was no loss or costs from us waiting, and certainly, as you correctly pointed out, the original intention was to do it in two phases. But as I outlined in the overview, there are some distinct advantages, or looking at it from the counterpoint, disadvantages of not doing it in one piece, and that is that you're wishing to open the door potentially to other contractors. That, I presume, is the intent, to open it up for later in the year. So there could be some continuity and connection problems. Everybody does work in a different way. We've got some materials that have been established. We've got levels that have been made in terms of continuing the work, and it is possible that there could be some issues and problems of doing that. Doesn't mean to say that we can't deal with those, but it's not quite fair to say that there's no repercussions whatsoever in terms of not proceeding. I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. Councillor Campbell?
As I don't disagree with anything Councillor Rowe said, but I guess my question or concern would be to put it out to tender at this point, now that we've gone on the public record with what this one contractor has already quoted to have this job done. Is that an even playing field, or is that a fair way to start a tender process?
That creates certain problems, but just to make it very clear, we would not be going out for a retendering again at this time. We would be waiting till later in the summer, and who knows, the prices of some of the materials may go up or may go down. It's quite possible that the contractor that we're dealing with might sharpen their pencil at that point in time. So, it's not a clear answer to what you're saying.
So do I understand, Mr. Cunningham, that there is not a sufficient time to go for tender for the second part of it right now? Is that why you're saying?
Absolutely. It would be impossible to do it.
Okay. So we either have to go along with this or re-tender it later and do it in the fall. That's Councillor Rose.
Just an added comment for that so that there's absolute clarity. That is what our original plan was.
Mm-hmm.
That is absolutely correct.
Yeah.
And we only changed it because we saw an opportunity of having a seamless, continuous project because of two things that had changed. That had come in at lower cost, which we saved resort municipal funding, so we had more money than we expected. And the Crown, it's quite obvious that they can do the work quicker than we might have anticipated.
Do they, the Crown is the name of the company, are they bringing in all their own people and all their own equipment, or do they use some local personnel, or
It's a pretty small crew, and I believe they're taking
they
their
do
own
their
people
own?
in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, Councillor Rhodes?
So, just so that I can continue to debate with this, the amount is $206,857. That is a huge, huge amount of money. It's a significant, large, lots of numbers in it, and I cannot emphasize the importance of a local business having an opportunity to do that work for a price around that. You know, we have to be advocates for our business. That's part of what we do in our community. And I have no idea what the outcome is. And I freely admit that your report is full of common sense and logic. But it's still $206,857. It might be $300,000. It might be $180,000. It's an uncertainty. Nobody knows. We don't have a crystal ball. But to take that opportunity away from local business, I don't feel very comfortable with that at this point.
I think I have to agree with Councillor Rhodes. You know, it seemed very logical when I first read it, but the fact that $200,000 or $250,000 could go to a local company, I seriously think that we say shop local, we push it all the time, so I think I would have to agree. So where are we at with, we're at a...
We need to defeat that motion.
We have a motion on the floor. Could you read it for us, please?
Moved by Councillor King, second by Councillor Campbell, and resolved that Council approves Outland Design Landscape Architecture to issue a change order of $206,857.17 for Crown Contracting Limited to complete Stage B of the Gyro Park Plaza along with Stage A.
Thank you.
Could I just ask a
Absolutely.
question? Just refresh my memory relative to what local contractors, were there local contractors that applied in the original project? And we had some history, I think, with one of the local contractors who did apply, who did actually tender, but based on previous work, we were very, hesitant to ever consider.
I won't mention the name of the company, but yes, they're sort of local. They're based out of Kelowna West Side. They did use a local subcontractor from Oliver, but not anybody from Osoyoos. And I think it's open secret that we encountered very significant quality problems with their work in terms of the landscaping projects which were done around the marina and the slope. Caused me a lot of personal angst, but it also caused us a lot of staff resources trying to correct their mistakes as we went along. Not an experience that I want to repeat. If we are going to proceed with the ideas of deferring Stage B to later in the year, I would ask your support. This doesn't have to be in the resolution, but or at least tacit understanding that we would be requesting our consultants to identify the exact practices, installation practices, and materials that were installed in Stage A, so that they are carried across into Stage B without any questions or problems or controversy.
Absolutely. I certainly understand that. Yes, Councillor King.
Thank you, Member Kirkhope. If this gets defeated, this motion, and we change it to delay it, what would be the rough time frame on putting it out to tender and getting responses? Roughly speaking.
I don't know, but we would allow a sufficient lead time for a contractor to come in and finish the work after the high season that the park has been used and before the time when the winter months might become an issue. So
Okay.
we would determine our timelines on that.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, so the motion has been read, and all in favor of the motion. So the motion is defeated. So could somebody make a different motion, please? Councillor Rhodes?
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. I don't think there's one necessary at this point, is there?
Yes, there is, because I'd like some, if as Councillor King mentioned, that we're going to proceed with tendering later in the year, I'd like to know that that council still supports that strategy, which was the original strategy, and that we do tender stage B later on this year.
Wouldn't it fall into the sequence of planning? I mean,
We already have.
there's not a problem making a motion, but I just,
I would prefer the motion because we're going to have to put a lot of work into this, and I'd like to have the certainty that in fact this is what council is looking for.
Yeah, but we would come back to council for a request of tender anyway, so
Yeah.
this will just allow us to proceed with our administrative work. So even if the motion, and I just use an example, that the motion would be that we tender the work prior to the end of August.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, or end of, that would give a sufficient amount of time to head into and it could very well be that we may tender it earlier, but at least it provides us a timeline.
Yeah.
Could it be tendered earlier in order to have the work done in the fall? Or does it have to wait till next spring?
No, we'll do it
Be
this,
done.
we'll tender, so the work will be done this fall.
Okay.
After the busy season, so,
Sure.
we would be tendering in such a manner that potentially we could have a contractor on site, mid-September to on type of thing.
Okay. Do you have that as a motion? No. All right, Councillor Rhodes, go ahead.
so I don't think any wordsmithing is necessary. I think CAO Romanco said the right words, so that would be my motion based on that.
That
Just
we-
the first sentence.
That the work be tendered prior to the end of August 2015?
Yes.
Second phase.
For stage B. Okay, now we have a motion. We need it moved and seconded.
Second.
Thank you, King. And it reads that have you got it down there? Or do you want me to? We don't want to paraphrase it again.
Well, moved Councilor Rhodes, second Councilor King, and resolve that the stage B work of the Gyro Park Plaza be tendered prior to the end of August 2015.
Okay, is that all right? All in favor? Thank you, that's carried. Thank you very much, Mr. Cunningham. I know that's more work for you, but maybe it's easier to deal with in terms of being open and so.
Absolutely, and thank you for the discussion, and I appreciate all the points all around, all fair and square
Okay.
comments.
No, in fairness to the administration, what we were trying to do, and not put council in a difficult spot, but we saw an opportunity,
Save money.
an opportunity to carry this project forward within what we felt would meet, a timely fact. But there was always factors involved, and certainly that's why we sit here and council sits there, and that's.
And we totally understand that
Yeah.
that was a very sensible way of proceeding, but sometimes we have to go the more difficult route. Yes, Councilor Rhodes.
Just an opportunity for one comment. If I'm still on the committee at our next waterfront meeting, you can discuss this in more detail with me if you like. Yeah. So,
We have a majority, we can vote.
that's right, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we're now on to community service grants, council appointment. And this is Mr. Romanko.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. In the past, the community services grants have been reviewed by a committee consisting of the Director of Community Services and 2 members of council. The Community Services Grant Program has been advertised in the town's website and local newspaper. The deadline for submission is February 27th. Once this deadline has been reached, the committee will review the submissions and make a recommendation to council. Currently, there are no members of council who have been appointed. Implications: having council and staff representation on the committee will be beneficial for all applicants and give staff and council a closer, in-depth look at the applicants and the needs of the community. Organizationally, staff time to review and prepare the report to council. Budget, there's a budget of $43,000 for the grant program, along with environmental component of $4,000. Significant dates: the grant deadline has passed at February 27th, and sustainability groups and nonprofits have made applications that follow sustainable practices for current and future projects and events. The options as presented by the administration are: 1, for council to appoint 2 members to review the annual community grants submissions with the Director of Community Services. This appointment will be for the remainder of the current council term. 2, for council to appoint a different number of council members and or for a different term. And 3, for council not to appoint any members of council at this time. And the recommendation is option 1, to provide 2 members of council for the remainder of the council term to serve as to review the grants.
Thank you. Anybody have a suggestion on this? May I make? Is that all right if I make a motion about this, or is it?
Well, usually the preference is for members of council to do it. So,
all right. I would be happy to do it, but I didn't see any hands up. So, Councillor Rhodes, would you like to do these two? Okay. Councillor King.
Yeah, I'd be happy to sit on that as the Park and Rep anyhow on Parks and Rec.
And we need one other person. Councillor Campbell.
I'm happy to volunteer in a capacity. I just don't know, based on a lack of experience dealing with grants, how effective I'd be in that role.
You would be working with the Director of Community Services. It's I think one meeting that you would have to go to, and you would make recommendations. I think you'd find it quite interesting. All right, could we appoint Councillor King and Councillor Campbell to the community service grant? And you know, it says for the remainder of the council term. If that can always be changed in another year, that could be adjusted if needed. So who was that Councillor Rhodes, and I will second it, that we appoint Councillor King and Councillor Campbell. All in favor? Thank you. Community service grants provincial team funding. I'm assuming that's you, Mr. Romenko.
Yes, the Community Services Grant Policy has dedicated funding for teams and or individuals who have qualified for provincial or higher competition. There's $2,000 in annual funding that is separate from the Community Services Grant Policy. Applications will be accepted until the funds are used in any given year. I guess I can just summarize the overview, and it's now recent information that actually we have 3 minor hockey teams who have qualified for provincials. They include the Peewees, who are destined to go to Kitimat, the Bantams that are identified to go to Port Hardy, and the Midgets to go to Dawson Creek. In addition to that, our secondary school, high school basketball team is also qualified for provincials, and their competition is in Langley. So in front of you, you have a request from minor hockey to assist the hockey teams in their travels. We also had a verbal request from the basketball team. They didn't have time to put a request together in writing, but so the request in front of council is basically to allocate $500 per team for both the hockey and the basketball team to assist in their costs in attending provincials.
Thank you, and I think that it's incredible that these teams have all done so well. The one going to Kitimat apparently has been changed to Terrace, which is just about as far. And I think that it's very nice to include the basketball team in as well, because they're going next week. So fortunately, or or not, we don't have any more teams that are headed off. Otherwise, we would be in the poorhouse. Councillor Campbell.
No, I just wanted to say that I think that just says a ton about our community in general, from our coaching to our sports organizations to the parents. I mean, I just think that's an incredible thing, and I'd like to make a motion to accept option number 1 for council to award $500 to each of the 3 SOMHA teams who qualified and the high school basketball team for their respective provincial tournaments, which is scheduled for March 14th to 20th, 2015.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Rhodes. I'd just like to say, we certainly hope that they all do well, and this is a phenomenal thing that they've all got. So we will take a motion. Yes, Councillor.
Just making note of those minor hockey teams, they do include kids from other communities. So maybe this council would like to throw out a challenge to the other respective councils to provide support to these teams as well.
Let's hope that they do. I think that would be.
Well, maybe a
email
from the mayor might provide them a little more incentive.
If I knew, is it just Oliver, or do we have them from other teams as well?
It's easy enough to determine.
Okay.
I'm sure the managers will be able to provide. My understanding is that we have kids from Princeton and Karamias and Oliver and Osoyoos, and maybe as far as Grand Forks.
Oh, yes, Councillor Rhodes.
Well, while we're talking about such great things happening in our community, the city of Edmonton is rebranding their, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, to remove City of Champions away from their branding and their advertising because of some poor performance issues over the last little while. And I'd like the rest of council and mayor to know that on the 23rd of this month, I just happen to be going there to have my 6th grandbaby, and I think I could find a little bit of time to try and scoop some of those signs. One of the things we'll have to do is Photoshop the city part of it, but the wording is good and they're nice banners, and I'd be happy to transport those back here if I.
Oh, no, you don't. There is no way you're getting into taking signs. That won't work. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor for $500 for each of the 4 teams. All in favor? Good luck, everybody. We're very proud of you all and all of the parents. And apparently there's one lady in Oliver, Brianne was telling me, who has 3 sons, and they're all on different teams. And so she's having to figure out how she's going to get them all to different places at the same time. Okay, thank you. Next on the list is the Miller Springs request for support from Fortis.
So at the February 16th Committee of the Whole meeting, Council considered a letter from Miller Springs Limited requesting support in its application to Fortis to have a power in the area of its facility upgraded from single-phase to 3-phase. Council passed a motion providing administration direction to seek out additional information about the Miller Springs projects and its impacts on water and the community. And I've contacted Miller Springs, and they've provided me quite an extensive amount of information about what their plans are and what the implications are for employment and that. So this is provided to Council as information, but at the same time, if Council wants to provide some direction to either provide a letter of support and or not provide or not to provide a letter of support, that direction can be given at this particular point in time.
Thank you. Is there anybody who would? when I have been looking at this from my own point of view, we do have, we have received a letter from some of the people that live up close to Miller Springs, and their concern is not particularly the three-phase power, but the water usage, and I think they have sent a letter to the provincial government. This sounds like a very complicated issue, and it's out of our jurisdiction. I'm not sure that we're in a position to comment on it. It would be my suggestion that we accept it for information only. But certainly if rest of council would like to comment on that, that's fine. No? Nobody else wants to comment on it? Okay, then do we need a motion to accept it as information
No,
only?
don't need a motion to accept this information. As long as there's no direction to the administration, it can sit. I've responded to council's request.
Yep. Thank you. All right. Thank you. We'll leave it like that. And we are now down to general net payroll and Sun Bowl Arena financial. And we have a report on the expenditures from accounts payable for council approval and payroll information to receive. General cash requirements of $353,147.76, and Sun Bowl cash requirements of $4,552.49, and those will be adopted by consensus. And the net payroll accounts of $59,412.18 received for information. And next on our list is the CAO report.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. Just some of the things that the administration has been up to, or are things that are coming up. And starting in community services, the leisure guides will be circulated this week. The women's showers and storage room and the gym projects have now been completed, and they're preparing to work on the volunteer appreciation luncheon. They've been making contact with Fortis and another company to place a camera in the osprey net by the nest by the elementary school, and I guess the only issue they're having right now is something about getting power to the pole. In terms of the corporate services, they've posted a relief building service worker, and also working on the curbside calendar for the garbage pickup, and also pet license sales have been keeping him busy, and I guess they're outpacing 2014 right now. In terms of finance, not too busy, as you can see from today's meeting. There was a little bit of tape on the adding machine going on to present all the financial information to council. Also, the fleet insurance has been presented for purchase for 2015, and they're doing some cross training with financial staff when staff are on holidays. Planning and development, a riparian development permit has been approved for a property on Kingfisher Drive to replace an existing retaining wall. The director also has referred a water rezoning application to our contractors at Paradise Park for Paradise Park to replace their existing private dock with a group strata dock. And the third activity is they're actively inviting expressions of interest from the private sector to purchase and develop their town-owned Richter property for about 40 homes, and including 5 near-market affordable housing. So 7 invitations were sent out last week. Myself, I had the opportunity to have some excellent information exchange with the CAOs on a provincial basis in Vancouver last week. Second, we've reviewed water meter strategy proposals. 3 were received, 2 are within budget, and we're just in the process of trying to renegotiate some elements of their RFPs, and we'll be approving a strategy of that very, very shortly. Also had the opportunity to meet with Destination Asuyas, the town of Oliver, and Correction Service representatives to get an update on the discussions for where the site's at right now, and also what their employee needs were in terms of information and how to get information to the employees who potentially would be looking for housing and relocation in the area. So that was a very good opportunity. So that's my report for today.
Thank you. We need to have a motion to receive the report. Rhodes Campbell, thank you. All in favor? Okay, council reports. Councillor King.
Thank you, Mayor McKirkhoff. It's just very exciting to attend the Coyotes hockey game last Thursday, which they won 6-3 and came from behind, so it was a very exciting game. I'd like to congratulate them, and hopefully a lot of people will show up tonight for the first game of the second round. Also attended Area 27, which is a great international racetrack, I believe it'll turn into, and be very beneficial to the economy at the South Okanagan and Asuyas. And we'd like to congratulate also the local Rattlers basketball team and wish them the best, and all the junior hockey teams that are going into the provincials in the next couple of weeks. We wish them all the best also. Thank you.
Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mayor McKirkhoff. Just a quick comment on one of the reports that was given to us earlier by CAO Remanco regarding our Resort Municipality Initiative and the funding that we received from it. Mayor McKirkhoff gave a short list of some of the major projects that go on in our community, but I just wanted to remind everybody else that there is a long list of things that we've taken the initiative and followed through to completion, like washrooms. There's one at Goodman Park and so on, and I just wanted to let everybody know that the significance of this program and the impact that it has on our community is so profound. And it comes to us with basically little or no local tax input. But really what I wanted to say is it's not being a part of this program. You don't just ask and then the money magically occurs in your bank account so you can run out and spend it. There is so much behind the scenes stuff that goes on with it. So I wanted to thank Mr. Romanko for his input. The first thing that he would say back was part of my job, and I get that as well. But there is so much work. You have to be persistent. You have to have ideas, and you need to take these ideas and come to council and then carry them through at the end of the day. And we've just been so good. And I know Mr. Romanko gets assistance from staff and all that kind of stuff. So thank you to them as well. But I wanted to acknowledge, what Barry puts into this program and some of the things that we benefit. It's just such a great, wonderful program, and how nice to hear that it's been extended for another year. So.
Thank you. I totally agree. How many years have we been having this? Do you know? Was it?
We've been receiving
years?
funding for, I've been here 6.5 years, so it's about 7 years that we've been part of this program. And also we're looking now, we're really hoping that we get a grant program. One of the major universities has applied for a federal grant program to do research on communities like ours. All the resort municipality communities have jumped in and said, yes, we need this kind of information about what the impacts of economic impacts of we're called an amenity-based community. And we'll find out in March whether or not this grant application for research will come through, and to be able to provide and try and put some numbers to the impacts that these new amenities mean to our community.
Absolutely, and we certainly need them. Thank you. Councillor Campbell.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. It looks like I don't have much, as it's clear that Councillor King hacked into my computer. You can see that. It's even in the same order. It's bizarre. I also attended the Area 27 event this weekend, and certainly a lot of excitement around that, but what it's really transformed into is excitement throughout Canada and parts of the U.S., and we're seeing it in a lot of the automobile publications and newspapers from around the country, so very, very exciting. And the other thing that happened last week was I've spoken before in my reports about the hockey academy that runs at the elementary school here, and 2 supervisors from Hockey Canada came to Soyuz last week to meet with Dean Rowland at the elementary school and to watch how he runs the program at the Sun Bowl Arena. And really this was a beta test with a couple of schools in Canada and at the elementary level, and I think they were quite impressed with what they saw, and it was exciting that they came here to see how it was doing. So
good, thank you. I was also at Area 27. I think we were all there, but we were kind of at different spots because it was cold and we were trying to get out of the wind. Quite exciting, not only for the cars to be up there, and there were a couple that on the gravel roads, those low cars, and I'm not sure that I would have been driving mine up there. I did offer to bring up my Mazda Miata, but I think I don't think that's going to work. I was at the Coyotes game and I saw the win, and we wish them absolutely the best of luck against Summerland. They're a good team. I hadn't been to a Coyotes game for a while, so it was kind of fun to go back. And on Saturday I went to the Desert Society winter program. They have a sheet, and it's been in the paper. The one that I went to at Watermark was on GMOs, and I had just seen a program on TV that morning too called The World According to Monsanto. So there's a lot of talk about GMOs. Basically, you know, we've got them 90% of canola, corn, soy, and sugar beet have GMOs in them. Whether that's good or bad is not really what's debated, but there are people that are concerned about it and would prefer to buy local, buy organic. Apparently, the lady that was there said that Gerber, who makes baby food, refuses to put any GMO apples in their baby food. Now, you know, I think the main thing is to look at, read and watch, and don't just believe everything that you hear, but make up your own mind about how you feel about it. And it's in everybody's best interest not just to accept things, but to look at them carefully and decide what's best for you and what's best for your body. Apparently the Arctic apple, which was developed by Okanagan Specialty Fruits in Summerland, has been FDA approved in the States but not in Canada, and it's just been purchased by an American company. So you know, there's all kinds of things to consider. So fortunately around here we have lots of local produce, especially in the summertime, and we can buy fresh, and we can buy local, and we can buy organic, and so you just have to kind of think about it, what you'd prefer to do. This winter program is excellent. There was one on wolves which I missed, but the next one is on birds of prey, and it's at the owl habitat, the Owl Rehab, South Okanagan Rehabilitation Center for Owls. And then the last one on March the 28th is called Waterways, and it's in conjunction with the Osoyoos Lake Water Quality Society. So I encourage you to go to those if you're interested, because they're really very well done and very thought-provoking. So thank you very much, everybody. It's 4 o'clock, which is a bit late for our meetings. However, we've accomplished a lot today, and don't forget to look after your plants carefully, because it's going down to -9 tomorrow, even though it's nice and sunny during the day. Okay, could I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Thank you. Councillor Campbell, Councillor King. All in favor? Thank you. Good night, everyone. Well, it's almost night.